Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 6, Episode 13, Truth Is. So we open up the episode where we left off with Bayo and Sabrina talking about his investment to her, and now it's time for her to pay up with marriage. And Sabrina is looking in disbelief, looking around, thinking she's being punked, waiting for the cameras to come out, maybe Ashton coming from behind the wall or something. And she's like, look, I'm not marrying you. I don't know you. And Bayo is like, neither did the other 9 wives. And I'm like, 9 wives? So he tells her he's going to make a phone call to get her bail revoked and she's going to go back to jail. Sabrina looked at him like, hey, do what you got to do, bruh. And he said, so you mean to tell me you would rather go back to jail than marry me? She was like, look, I don't know you. I don't know you. Sabrina is telling him she got to get up out of there. She getting ready to go to a friend's house. And he tells her, you need to enjoy your freedom now because once we get married, like, oh, that's getting ready to stop. I was like, oh, hell no. So he's talking about his mama was going to kill the big goat and he's disappointed. And Sabrina like, this got to be a joke. I got to get out of here. So he pretended he calling his mama and saying Sabrina was selfish and this and that and the other, telling Sabrina she got nice childbearing hips. He need to have about 55 kids to keep the population going. And I'm like, this dude done lost his rabbit mind. So Sabrina, she puts her foot down and she starts yelling at him like, no, 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 we're leaving. And he says, well, let me just say one thing before we go. He says that it's horrible that some Americans think that all Africans are the same. All the things that he just said was not true. He said there was no contract. He does not want to marry her. He does not have 9 wives. And just because he don't like Maurice doesn't mean that he is closed-minded. He says that in his focus and how the world works, it is several reasons why he doesn't like Maurice. And the bottom line is he needs for Sabrina and Maurice to be in court so he can get his money back, period. So he told her, and you have a good night, and turned around and hauled tail, leaving her standing there bewildered, like what the hell just happened? And then she says to herself, I think I just got read. Yeah, pretty much. So Sabrina, let that be a lesson to you for the next time you go asking anybody for any money. You need to ask them, what are they looking for in return? Make sure you don't just assume that your chocolate beauty is why they're giving you the money and they don't want anything. And I was so glad that Bayo was like, I don't want to marry you. All of that was just a bunch of foo-foo because I really didn't want to have to be dealing with that storyline, to be honest. I really didn't. So the girls, they get over there to Karen's house, and Andy and Danny, they get there first. Danny is pulling out her miniatures from work, and Andy have the nerve to say, oh, so you stealing your little liquor from the job again. And Danny was like, would you like one? And she's like, oh, yes, why, thank you. I'm like, girl, you quick to criticize, but you down in it like some little hobo on the street. I mean, really. So they wait for Sabrina to get there because apparently Andy is scared to go inside after getting tossed like a little rag doll the last time she went in Karen's house. So Sabrina get there and Andy gives her the entire rundown. I don't know why she didn't call Sabrina over the phone to give her this rundown, but they got to stand in front of Karen's door to talk about Karen, which is crazy. So Karen, she opens the door in a pretty good mood, and she's like, oh, y'all just gonna stand here and talk about me? So they're yelling her name. Oh, Karen. I'm like, look at that, all fake and phony and stuff. So they get inside, and they say all their little greetings. They notice how calm Karen is, tell her she looks nice and all. So Karen, she asks them why they were there, and they tell that Andy called them and told what was going on. So Danny asked her what was she doing at the law firm, like why did she go there? So she never answers the question. She goes into 1 minute she's calm and the next minute she's mad, and Danny just basically said that she's just batshit crazy. So Karen says she talked to a doctor and the doctor gave her some information about what was going on in her body and that she had an appointment the next morning to get more information about it. So she was like, it was just the pregnancy, stress, Zach, and how he's playing her. So they all kind of chime in to let Karen know that Zach is not playing her. He does care for her, but he is in a relationship with Fatima. And Karen seems to think that it's just temporary. So Danny, she's trying to get Karen to understand what the reality of it all is. And Sabrina over there trying to stop Danny from talking as usual. And I hate when she does that. It's always Danny, Danny. Her and Andy always does that. Danny, Danny. I'm like, let her talk. Y'all scary ass ain't gonna say nothing. And Sabrina, if you learn how to open your mouth more than what you do, then maybe you wouldn't end up in the situations that you're in. Start opening your mouth and stop always trying to coddle everybody. And Danny tells her, look, you're getting ready to piss me off, because don't invite me over here if you don't want the straight no chaser Danny ass truth. So Karen told her, go ahead, Danny. So Danny proceeds to tell her the truth, and that is, look, Zach, he does love you. He's told you that 1,000 times, but he gave you the money for the salon because he loves you, but it's a different kind of love now. He has clearly moved on, and Danny told her that she believed that with all her heart. Hell, Stevie Wonder can see that Zach moved on. We all can see that. But Karen, after hearing that, it went in one ear and straight out the other. And she says the reason he gave her the money for the salon was because he knows that that is his child. Well, even if it is his child, that still doesn't negate the fact that he has moved on. Whether he knows in his head that that's his child, he's still with Fatima, and that's where he says that he wants to be. So I'm not understanding if Karen is sitting here holding on, waiting for Zach to come back to her and this child. Is that what we're doing here? So Danny asked Karen, is it Zach's baby? And of course she's like, yes. And so they have to have Andy tell her that Aaron seems to think that it's his. So they go through the whole thing again about how did he find out? Was it somebody at the hospital? Blah, 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 blah. And Andy told her that Zach's name wasn't on the paperwork. And she said, right, because I didn't have his DNA. So basically she just did process of elimination. So Andy, she reluctantly asked her, is it possible she was with someone other than Aaron or Zach? And Karen was like, basically, who do you think I am? She told her she was offended, but the answer was no. So Danny, she changes the subject and tells everybody that Andy is on a dating site. Come to find out, she's also on this same dating site. So Andy is like, she has a date and she's going to go home, change clothes, and she's meeting the guy down to the bar on Juniper, which, I mean, Billy Jakes, Steam Plant, it's all the same damn thing. So when Aunt Danny hears where it is, she's like, I think you shouldn't go alone. I think I want to go with you. So she admits that some fine-ass guy from work invited her there, but she want to go, but she don't want to go because she want to see how things are going to work out with her and Preston. And she admits to the girls that her and Preston are officially an item. They're going to try to make it work. She realizes that he's been there for her a time or two or three. So Danny, she tells the girls how she gave Preston some weed and that she needs to check on him because he was talking to the stove the last time she saw him trying to make it lock. So she told Andy, like, look, I'm going to go out with you, see what's popping, and then I'm going to go home and check on him. I'm like, girl, that's a little backwards. But Andy says, so you not going to change clothes? Baby, I was hollering like, girl, because you're not getting ready to go down there with me with that work uniform on. No, ma'am. So Danny told her she has a whole bag and she'll just, shower at her house and change. And Karen was like, okay, good. Y'all can get up out of here so I can call Aaron and let him know he's not the daddy. So the girls, they're just kicking the bobo, and Andy says she's not going anywhere until she gets an apology from Karen. And I was kind of confused at what she needed an apology for. But Karen did apologize to her and said she's sorry for everything she said to her. And then they was complaining that she said it too fast. Karen was like, look, it is what it is. I said it, and that's what you're going to get. So Danny tried to get her little apology in there, and Karen was like, you bees gonna have to go. Y'all got to get the stepping. And it was all in love. Everybody was cool. So The girls, they end up leaving. So Karen, she hops on the phone like she said she was, and she called Aaron and asked him, can he come over? He's on the phone like, oh, you didn't even have to ask. Always got his Jaheim on, ready, willing, and able. Told Karen he'll be right there. Of course you will, Aaron. Of course you will. So we go down to the precinct where Q, he's down there acting like he so hurt, talking to Logan and the DA. And the DA basically let him know, look, I made you an offer a while ago. Now I never signed off on my part. The deal is off. Q doesn't know what's going on. He's asking why. And the DA tells him, look, because you're a liar and you're a piece of shit. You out here lying on people. And he tells him one thing he hates is a liar that will lie on innocent people. He told him his 2 co-conspirators have already cut a deal and that they told him everything that they needed to know. And that he was going to jail and going for a long time. Q sitting there trying to plead his case, talking about he is innocent and that Maurice and Sabrina did have something to do with it. But the DA, he wasn't having it. It was in that moment he said that the charges were going to be dropped for Maurice and Sabrina and that Q was going to jail for a long time. So they called the officers to come get him, take him away, and hopefully that would be the last time we will see Q. So this bank robbery storyline, I am so glad it is over, simply because it has been my least favorite storyline and it made absolutely no sense at all. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. So the DA, he starts talking to Logan, letting him know, look, you owe Maurice and Sabrina an apology. And Logan says that he was only doing this job. So the DA told him, no, you were doing it for a coin. You was trying to get a raise. He told him that he was overeager, he was wrong. And had he taken the case and prosecuted, he would have had 2 innocent people in jail. So he was like, just like you were out there at the airport helping those kids. You only did that so you can get a promotion. Logan said, no, he enjoyed doing that and he liked helping the kids. So the DA basically told him, keep that same energy, act like you want to help 2 innocent people. And he just told him, leave Sabrina and Maurice alone. So we see Zach and Fatima, they're in the car going over there to see Michael. And Zach, he's a little nervous about it. So they end up bringing up Hayden, and Fatima tells him about Tamara again. And Zach was like, well, you already kind of told me about that. And she was like, well, I didn't think it was go that far because he married her like after 2 weeks. So they laugh and joke about it or whatever. And Zach basically told her, don't feel any kind of way about it. Like, don't worry about it. And, long as he's staying out of their business, like they cool, telling her like, suck it up, man up. So the girls, they make it to Billy Jake's, and Andy, she spots her date from his picture on the app, and Danny and Sabrina, they head over there to the bar. So Andy, she sashays her way over there to the table, and this is when we officially meet Jordan. He's a former athlete, apparently. So he tells Andy that he's a hugger, so they hug it out. We learn that Jordan is a former athlete. He tells Andy that this is his second date using the app. The first date, he actually got catfished. The girl looked absolutely nothing like her pictures, and she was a narcissist. So he was kind of amazed looking at Andy that she looked exactly like her pictures. Andy told him that this was her very first date using the app. And he said the only reason he came because one of his friends forced him to. So they decided they were going to get something to eat. So we go over there to the bar with Sabrina and Danny, and they're just talking, ordering their usual, when Tony comes up and he was like, oh, you made it. So Danny had to tell him, yeah, oh, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't really come for you. I'm here with my friend. She's on a blind date. So he's thinking that she's lying or whatever. So he gets introduced to Sabrina and he tells her, feels like I already know you. And Sabrina looking crazy like, well, how would you know me? And Danny had to tell her he listens in on my conversations. And he offers them drinks and he already knows what her exact drink she likes. And I'm like, Tony is really kind of getting on my nerves. Like, okay, we get it. We get it. You listen, she talks loud. We get all of that, but it's still giving creep vibes. So he asks Danny, like, where's this friend that you claim you're here with? So she points over there where Andy is. And he's like, oh, well, she's over there with my boy Jordan. And he's like, oh, he didn't want to come, but I made him come. And they were like, oh, well, and he had explained the whole disaster date and brought Rich up, his other friend. And then out of the blue, Rich comes up looking tall and nice and chocolate. And, he introduces himself. So they both were athletes in college. They didn't go to the pros, but Jordan did. And both of them are in a divorce club. They're no longer married. The girls make them show their wedding hand as if that really means anything. And they claim that they're not getting married again. So I kind of find that interesting that you have 3 women in the club. They're in their mid to late 30s. They've never been married. They don't have any kids. Meeting 3 guys who have already been married, and they're standing there saying, we're never getting married again. We've been there, done that. I just would feel like somebody maybe like Sabrina would probably be looking for something a little more long-term, because for Tony to just blurt that out, like, it's just like, we're just here for a good time, not a long time. Like, basically saying, like, don't y'all get no ideas, because we just live in life. We just live in the Viva Loca. And we already know Tony has 2 kids. So, I mean, what if these women want to settle down and have kids? Are you guys basically just saying that that's a no, or what, a possible yes later on down the line should things pop off, or what? Because these ladies not getting any younger. So they asked, were they single? And Sabrina says yes, but Danny didn't open her mouth. And they basically was trying to say that the guys were players. So Danny tells them that they're out there spreading their little community peen. And I'm like, Danny, girl, you got a lot of nerve, right? Like, first of all, why are you even there? You should be home with Preston. Okay? So, I mean, they just said that they were out living their lives. If they're grown, they're single, they're not married to anybody, they say they just living their life, just out having a good time. So anyway, they were like, do you guys want to go somewhere a little quiet, get a table? They claim they got to watch Andy, so the guys insist that she doesn't have anything to worry about with Jordan. And they were like, child, okay, so since you promised and all that, like, we supposed to just take your word. But they end up agreeing that they'll get a table somewhere close to where Andy and Jordan are sitting. So we go back over there to Karen's house, and Erin is knocking on the door. She's in the kitchen, so she's walking to the door. And I know you guys saw the little itty bitty baby bump that you have been begging for forever and a day. So Erin, he comes in, they sit at the table, and Karen, she basically thanks him for all of his help. And Erin says, well, it's no problem. He can give her the money to help her with the salon if she wants, because he knows that she didn't take Zach's check because she ripped it up. And she said, no, I can get it. I guess she's going to get it from Andy, because I don't know who else she's going to get it from, but she was like, no, that's okay. And he was like, oh, you just don't want the money from me. She was like, no, I don't. So Karen tells him she doesn't want any of this anymore. She just wants to be single. It's just going to be her and her baby. So Erin was like, oh, so you want to be single? Like, are you going to be serious about this time? And I'm like, well, how many times does she have to bring you in, Erin, to tell you the same thing? Because right after the fire, she told you the same thing over there on the sofa. And next thing you know, you was at the salon the next morning cleaning up like you didn't hear a word she said. So, I mean, I don't know. So Karen has to come straight out and tell Erin, look, you are not the father of the baby. He keeps saying, why do you keep doing this? I am the father. I saw the results. So they going back and forth. Karen is asking him, who showed you the results? Was it somebody at the hospital? He keeps saying no. And they go back and forth. So she pulled out her results and said, so you saw these? He says, yes. So when he looks at the results and she shows him everything where he needs to read the entire thing, he realizes that he read the results wrong. So in that moment, you see Erin go from extremely confident to totally devastated. He mumbles that he feels so stupid. He just wanted it so bad that all he saw was the 99.9. So Karen just told him again, this is Zach's baby. It's time for us to get off this train that we're on. And Aaron was like, let me reiterate once again, I love you. And I told you I will help you take care of this baby, whether it was mine or not. Karen really wasn't trying to hear any of that. Aaron was like, well, can I call you from time to time? Can I check on you? She was like, yeah, when I'm ready. Karen tells him that she can take care of herself. She gets up and she's walking towards the door, letting him know it's time for you to go. So he gets over there to the door and he's like, this doesn't have anything to do with the girl at the salon, does it? And she says it has to do with everything. And I'm like, I really wanted to know more about the whole Jennifer situation, but I guess that's out of the window. This goodbye that they're having seems so final. It's just like, will Aaron really walk away this time? Or will he be lurking and, still calling and coming around anyway? So Karen, she thanks him for everything. He tells her, I'll do anything for you. And she gives him this great big old hug. And then he attempts to kiss her, but she doesn't allow it. So he tells her, just remember, I'm only one phone call away, always. Then he leaves. Do you guys think that we will ever see Aaron again? So we see Zach and Fatima standing outside Heather's house, outside the car in the cold. And I'm like, well, what are y'all doing? Why not go knock on the door to see what's going on? So Bonita Petrell, the nosy neighbor, that's not her name, that's just what I call her. She comes up asking them what's up, like what y'all doing out here, because I hope y'all not waiting on Heather because she's not home. So they was like, oh, she's not? Like, when were you going to find out? Y'all was just going to stand in the cold all night? So Zach is asking, is the little boy in the house by himself? And she says that he's in there with some guy that calls himself J-Bones. Zach wants to know if it's Jimmy, the one that was in there before. And she was like, I really don't know. I can't keep up. It'd be so many in and out all the time. I can't even call it. So she brings up the CPS thing again and says that somebody's supposed to come out and talk to her. And Fatima was like, are you going to tell him everything? And she was like, absolutely. I'm going to tell him everything. So she was like, let me ask y'all something. Who are you? And Zach says, I'm Michael's dad. And she was like, I ain't talking about you. I could see that all up in your face. Guess trying to say they look alike. So she was asking Fatima, and Zach interjects and says that Fatima is his wife. And she was like, wife? She was like, oh, and you cool with all this? Like you see me, I can't deal with no man with no baby mama. I'm like, well, this 2023, like, there's not too many men out there that don't have kids. So you're going to have to deal with someone that has a baby mama, or a mother of their child, whatever you might want to call it. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, Zach was like, well, everybody makes mistakes. So she was like, all right, son, I'm just going to tell you that was one awful mistake. I guess him messing with Heather. But at this point, it is what it is. So as they're doing all of that, you hear a scream. And she says, oh, you see that? You see that? He up there beating his ass. Next thing you know, Zach take off running. So Zach, he's running like a madman, talking about open this effing door. He banging on the door. The J-Bones open up. He looking in there like, you in here beating up on him? He said, who the F are you? He said, I'm his daddy. He said, get your bleepity bleep bleep up out of here. And Fatima was like, Zach, come on, let's go. Let's just go call the police. So Zach is getting ready to leave or whatever. He was like, yeah, go ahead and listen to your sexy babysitter. So they getting ready to walk off. The dude closed the door and you hear another scream. So Zach was like, oh, hell no. So he done charged the door. Boom, Incredible Hulk bust through the door. And next thing you know, he just went to wailing on J-Bones, like boom, boom, tearing his behind up, pulling them all out the recliner, everything. And Fatima back there screaming and hollering like, Zach, no, stop. And the episode ends there. Ooh, child. So what did you guys think of this week's episode? It really should have been called Out with the Old, In with the New. We had a lot of goodbyes up on here. Bio seemed like that could be a goodbye. We don't really need that. Aaron seemed very, very final. Q going off to jail. I don't think we need to see Q again. Do you think Zach will go to jail for beating J-Bones behind? What did you guys think about the new guys? Rich, Tony, and what's his other name? Jordan. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts were, you guys. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.